Well guys, are 1000cc super bikes overkill for the road? Now, I've owned my GSX-R 1000 for almost 6 months, and I thought we're probably well overdue talking about the topic, because I've ridden this bike on the road, I've taken it to the track, I've taken it to the drag strips, pretty much used it for its intended purposes, and you know, taking it out for a weekend blast, or like today, a ride after work. So let's jump on, and yeah, let's I'll go over, do I think they're overkill, and why do I still have it after 6 months? Alright, let's navigate this gravel. This is what I'll usually be riding on any given day, is on my dual sport, but not on the not on the GSX-R, but just take it easy. A few potholes, and we are on the road. Alrighty, so 1000cc super sport, super bikes, litre bikes, whatever you want to call them, are they overkill? Well, the obvious answer is yes. At the end of the day, they're race bikes designed for use on the racetrack, but they've been made available to the public forever, and whilst it's a dying breed, you know, they're just not as flashy as they were, or there's not as many, it just doesn't seem to be as many riders riding them or making content on them as there were, you know, a decade ago, or even the early 2000s, before YouTube, but when all the magazines and everything were putting out content. You know, it was all about the super bikes, but now it's adventure bikes, it's middleweights. Like the bikes that are coming out now are the, you know, the Yamaha R7, the Suzuki GSX-R. Obviously there's manufacturers that are still making the litre bikes, but they're just getting pretty expensive, and I don't know, I think just there's just been a movement away from them. And is it because they're overkill for the road? Now that I've owned one for 6 months, and I feel like I'm in a decent position to, well, at least give my opinion. And you know, all I have to show you guys is, you know, we're in an 80 zone right now. I can shift down to first, and watch this, like I'm on the throttle, I'm just gonna whisper on the throttle, and we're at 80 already. Like that was a little quarter turn and we're at the speed limit. Now this bike in particular can do 160 kilometers in first gear. That the highest speed limit in my state of Australia is 110 kilometers an hour. That's probably like 65 miles an hour, or almost 65 miles an hour. And this bike can do 160 in first. Now that's all I need to tell you to say that it's overkill for the road. And this bike is from 2010. Bikes have come a long way since then, especially with electronics, which allow you to put that power down. But here's another thing. When I took this bike to the drag strips, I took it down the quarter mile, I ended up running a 10.2 second quarter mile. Now, I have no idea how to launch the bike. I was barely giving it any throttle because I didn't want to burn the clutch. I didn't know how much I could abuse it. And I ran a 10.2, pretty much bone stock, the gearing stock, no front end strap down, no nothing other than slip-on pipes, which I haven't even got the bike tuned, so they probably actually robbed me of power anyway. And I ran a 10.2. Now, there's not even 20 production cars on earth that can run a 10.2 second quarter mile right out the factory. And the cars that can are well in over $1 million. I paid $11,000 for this bike, and it's running supercar quarter miles. But what's even more crazy than that is that these bikes aren't even that great for quarter mile times, because actually getting that power down is very difficult. Where these shine are the roll-on power. So, you know, say 60 to 200, like that kind of, once you're already going, like these things just pull like a spaceship. And just going back to the original topic on hand, which, you know, are they overkill on the road? Well, there's just nowhere where you can experience that. Not on the road, unfortunately, not if you don't want to lose your license and obviously your life. But yeah, there's just nowhere where you can experience that, and the only place is either the drag strip or the racetrack. And the thing is, guys, now that I've taken it to the racetrack, it's like I can't even extract anywhere near the capability of the bike on the road compared to what I was able to do on the racetrack, that it really doesn't make road riding that fun. However, it is still freaking enjoyable to just get on the bike and just go out in the hills like I'm doing today, though. Ooh, not ideal with traffic, and it is after work, so everyone's coming home, so we are going to have traffic, but it's still so fun to go out into the hills. But the biggest thing is that I'm going to use the quote from Spider-Man, but with great power comes great responsibility, and that just rings so true when you're on a bike like this. I mean, on any bike, because just motorbikes in general are insanely quick. Like, you can get even, you know, maybe not the learner bikes and beginner bikes, but you get on something like an MT-07 or even 600cc supersport, but not even those, because those are still insane race bikes. But any of those midweight bikes, supersport, nakeds, whatever, those are still insanely quick compared to cars, and you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. But the fact that those are quick when compared, and then you compare to this, which it's not comprehensible how quick they are. Like, unless you've ridden one, you don't understand. Like, you can look at all the numbers you want, and even the numbers show how insane they are. 300 km/h top speed, and that's limited electronically. And these days, you know, the newer ones, 330, 340, like that sounds quick, but until you're strapped onto it, well, you're not even strapped onto it, until you're holding onto it like it's a missile soaring through the air, you just don't understand. And when you're on the road, you can't really get that feeling. Like, yeah, you can go to a private property and then find a long straight, but not many places where you can open it up to 300. So yeah, you know, I've been talking about power, but just everything is more insane on this bike. The braking is crazy and probably overkill for the road. The handling is just insane. It just dips in so quickly that it almost encourages you to be silly or want to be silly on the road, because it feels so good going quick, and it really doesn't like going slow. And I've noticed that the newer supersports are more like that, but even now, trying to go slow, the bike it wants to go quick. And obviously we know comfort is not ideal. You're very cramped up on the bike, like a teddy bear riding a tricycle kind of thing. But one thing I'll tell you is that when you're going fast, you don't notice that the bike's uncomfortable. It's only when you're doing, you know, stuck behind a car like this or not going quick that you really notice it. And on the freeways though, you know, when you go freeway speed, it becomes even more comfortable, because the wind resistance actually keeps you up, so it takes the weight off of your wrists and shoulders. So yes, they're not comfortable for the road, but you know, if you want to have fun, then you kind of got to put up with it. So I've told you they're overkill. You guys knew before you even clicked on the video that was going to be the answer, but what's the alternative? Well, you can go, there's so many different motorcycles. You can go adventure bikes, you can go naked bikes, which you still get pretty much 95% of the performance, but you get all the comfort and all of that. You've got cruisers. There's so many different options. But then why do people continually go for super bikes? Well, you know, there's a few reasons, and the performance is one of them, but the bikes look freaking awesome. I love looking, like, turning back when I park up the bike and just looking at it. And so yeah, there's the looks. I honestly, in my opinion, there's no better looking bikes than super sports. And then there's the ability to do track days and all that, and actually experience the performance. If you're someone that buys it with the intention of doing track days, then you're really going to be able to utilize the full potential of the bike. And you know, I don't think, like, I personally don't think I'll be doing a crazy amount of them because it's expensive. It's a big effort to get out there and do it. But I certainly want to do a couple a year just to really stretch this bike's legs out and have some fun with it. But you know, there's some people that I was speaking to at the track day that only take their bike on track, and they don't even road ride their super sports. And you know, I can completely understand that because I touched on it a little bit earlier, but riding bikes on the road's dangerous, and when you've got this much power, it just makes it that much more dangerous if you're not responsible. If you're responsible, then they're no more dangerous than a learner bike. If anything, I would say that these bikes are actually safer with the better braking, the better handling, the power to get you out of a sticky situation. But again, it all comes down to the rider. The rider, how much you twist the throttle, how skilled he is, because the brakes can get you into trouble. On a 2010 bike like this, no ABS, no traction control, no lean angle, lean sensitive, none of that. It's all about the rider inputs, and if you're not skilled, then you can get yourself into trouble pretty quickly. Well guys, I want to wrap this video up. I didn't want it to be too long, but I'll leave you with one thing, which is, it was something that a YouTuber, his name is Teapot1, said, and this guy rode his GSX-R 1000 pretty much around the world. I don't know how many kilometers he did. It was something ridiculous, hundreds of thousands, or over 100,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles. That's probably wrong. That's probably more than that. Something crazy. He rode it around the world. A GSX-R 1000, just like mine. Actually, I think it was even the same year as mine. And he said something which he, I think, heard from someone else. This is secondhand. I'm going to completely butcher it, but it was something along the lines of like people asking him, why does he tour on the GSX-R 1000, which is, you know, a leader bike, a super bike, which is what we're talking about. And he was saying that, you know, when you're having a bad day, potentially nothing is going right, or you just feel like crap, what bike do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the bike that's gonna be super duper freaking awesome fun, that when you get on the throttle and when you're on the roads that you enjoy, or, you know, on something boring? And just that fun that you get being on these super sports makes it worthwhile. That's what I was trying to get at. I probably butchered what he said, but it was something along those lines. And honestly, that's what makes these bikes so fun, is that just when you get that opportunity to open it up and you're on twisty roads, there's no better feeling. I mean, that probably comes in a different video, which is road bikes versus off-road bikes, because, you know, it's very individual, I guess. But I'd like to talk about, you know, what's more fun, especially if you're comparing, you know, track days versus enduro or like that. But that's a topic for a different video. But what I wanted to get at is just, when everything's going well, you're on a nice road, these bikes, even on the road, can be incredibly fun. But again, you've got to be responsible. And, you know, people like to use it's fun to ride a slow bike fast and a fast bike slow, and I do agree with that. Like, especially if you're actually at the limit and you're pushing it, you know. But even a 250 on the road, you can't extract the full power of a 250 on the road, like through turns and all of that. You just can't, because the speed limits and everything. Even those 250s can go around a turn at 160 k's an hour. But you know, it's nice to have the extra torque of the super bikes. You know, you got the lights and you just want to open it up. It's nice. So that's what makes it more fun on the road. One of the reasons I stopped riding road bike completely and was off-road for a long amount of time was because I was on my restrictions, and riding the learner bikes just really does get boring. You can't have fun on, like, you can have fun by pushing it into turns and stuff, but the lack of torque and the lack of top end, it's just not exciting. So these litre bikes do keep the road interesting, because no matter what, you've got power everywhere, and it's not just power, it's rip your arm off power. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to leave it there. I'll catch you guys in the next one.